Let me tell you something before we begin. If you ever went to bed with an empty stomach, but a full heart, then this story is for you. I grew up hungry, yes, hungry for food, hungry for warm meals, hungry for things that today seem small. But I also grew up surrounded by values that you hardly see anymore. Now, sitting here with years resting heavy on my bones, I feel it's my duty to tell this story. Because if people like us don't tell it, it disappears forever. Stay with me for a moment. I promise to speak slowly, the way people used to talk when life was hard but honest. I'm just a simple old man. I was never famous, never rich, never written about in any book, but I lived and I survived. When I was a child, our house was small, thin walls, a roof that made noise when it rained. We didn't have comfort. We didn't have luxury, but we had something I miss deeply today. Quiet nights, respect at the dinner table, eyes that spoke without words. I remember my mother waking up before sunrise, my father coming home tired, hands cracked from work, and still I never heard them complain. That shaped me, that built me. Today I want to sit with you as if we were on an old porch watching the sunset together. I want to tell you what it was like to grow up with very little, but learn so much. And what comes next is the memory that hurts the most and makes me proud at the same time. Let me tell you something I will never forget. It was night time. The kitchen was dimly lit by a weak bulb. On the table there was only dry bread and thin soup, very thin. I stared at that bowl and felt the emptiness in my stomach. But I also watched my mother break her bread into equal pieces, even though she barely ate herself. That taught me something no school ever could. It taught me sacrifice. It taught me silent love. Today I see full tables, but empty hearts, plenty of food, but very little gratitude. Back then we were thankful for every bite. Today many people eat without looking, without feeling, without appreciating. I learned that it's not the amount that feeds the soul, it's sharing, it's intention. And while I tell you this, I know many of you remember a kitchen just like that, a humble home, a simple meal. But wait, because after that hunger came a lesson even harder. Because there was a day when I learned what real shame and real pride felt like at the same time. And that's when I understood. I started working very young, not because I wanted to, because it was necessary. The sun wasn't even up yet, and I was already standing. Small hands doing big work. I remember the pain in my back, the dust on my skin, sweat running down my face. But I also remember something beautiful, coming home and placing a few coins into my mother's hand. It wasn't money, it was dignity. Today many people see work as punishment. Back then it was pride, it was identity. We didn't work to buy things, we worked to support family, to help, to be useful. I learned that hard work doesn't break you. What breaks you is feeling unnecessary. That tired little boy slowly became a strong man, but what came next was even harder to accept. Because strength wasn't everything. There were losses that left permanent scars. There was a moment that marked me forever. One evening, someone didn't come home. Back then, people didn't talk much about emotions. Nobody explained things. You just felt the silence. I remember the empty chair, the untouched plate, my mother staring into nothing. I learned that life doesn't warn you, that time doesn't wait, that love is urgent. Today I see people postponing hugs, saving words for later, leaving calls for tomorrow. I learned early, tomorrow doesn't always come. Since then, I hug slower, look deeper, listen longer. because loss teaches you. It hurts, but it teaches. And still, after so much pain, something beautiful appeared, because even in hard times, there was simple happiness that many people no longer know. Let me tell you something good now. We didn't have expensive toys, no screens, no constant noise. We played with sticks, stones, imagination. We laughed loudly. We ran until we couldn't breathe anymore. Happiness was sitting outside at sunset, listening to elders tell stories, sharing warm bread. Today I see happiness being bought. Fast happiness, short happiness. Back then, it lasted all afternoon. I learned that joy doesn't need permission. It only needs presence, attention. That's what I try to do now in old age. Sit quietly, breathe, watch the sky. Be thankful to still be here. But there's one more thing I need to tell you. Because what matters most isn't what we lost, but what we can still save. And with time, I finally understood. We are not here only to remember. We are here to pass things on. Our children, our grandchildren, even strangers, they need these stories. Not to live in the past, but to recover values, respect, patience, gratitude, honest work, quiet love. We don't need to preach, we just need to live it. Every time you greet someone kindly, every time you help without expecting anything, every time you listen patiently, you're planting seeds. And even if the world has changed, the human heart is still the same. Now, let me speak to you from the deepest place in my chest. If you stayed with me until now, thank you. Thank you for keeping this old heart company. Maybe you also grew up hungry. Maybe you worked young. Maybe you lost people you loved deeply. If so, let me tell you this. It was not wasted. It was not meaningless. It made us strong. It made us human. Today our bodies may be tired, empty, but our souls carry wisdom. If you feel like it, share a memory in the comments, a simple meal, a lesson from your parents, something you never forgot. You're not alone here. We keep each other company. And if you want to hear more stories like this, stay close. This channel is like a chair by the fire, a quiet place for the soul to rest. I say goodbye slowly, the old way, with respect, with warmth. May you sleep peacefully tonight. May your memories keep you warm. And never forget, your story matters more than you realize.